So hey guys, today we're going to be talking with some Arcane animators who were at Fortiche about Arcane Season 2. We have a lot of references to show you guys, a lot of shots. We can go through their journey a little bit. So if you guys want to introduce yourself, Andres, you can start.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Andres Derakhshani. I was an animator on Arcane Season 1 and 2 in the Montpellier team, and I got to work with lovely Francesca here. And I worked about 3.5 years on the show and worked in the industry 9 years total, but on a TV VFX feature. And now I'm back in Montreal. Just finished a contract with Framestore again.
Francesca?
Yeah. I'm an Italian animator, but I'm based in Montpellier now. It's been almost 5 years that I'm here. I don't speak French yet. See, I met Andres immediately. We became friends, like from day one, basically. Before Arcane, I worked in Italy as a layout artist and animator on a TV show for kids. And then I got the chance to come here and animate on Arcane. And I grew so much. I'm super happy. I still can't believe it.
Yeah, you guys did a really killer job. I'm sure you guys have gotten that. I guess I should introduce myself because there's a lot of people who don't usually watch my stuff. Hey, I'm Daniel. I'm a storyboard artist, not an animator. I did not work on Arcane, but I do work at DreamWorks Animation. So I have done some movies that you guys might have seen. Maybe they're not as good as Arcane, but hey, I was still proud of them. I worked on Wild Robot, Trolls 2, etc.
I feel like Wild Robot is also one of those projects that pushes the medium, because like I feel like you guys developed like a really cool style with bad guys, and then like Wild Robot kind of just built on that pipeline and stuff you guys did.
Yeah, they really, DreamWorks specifically as a studio has really adapted well to this kind of like changing meta of like art styles. DreamWorks specifically is I think the studio that's adapted the most, except for obviously Sony, but Sony kind of like pioneered it a little bit with Spider-Verse. But DreamWorks is the one that is like keeping up the most, I guess, with the changing landscape.
Yeah, it feels like DreamWorks is doing a lot of cool, like fun new stuff. Like Puss in Boots was a really fun art style. Bad Guys, like it's there's always something to take away from the projects you guys have coming out.
Even Dogman, which was like a lower budget
I
film,
love...
like the painterly look of it, they did a really good job.
I love the Captain Underpants books. I never read the Dogman ones, but I just love that aesthetic.
The book doesn't really look like that, right? Like they kind of had to invent this kind of like painterly thing for it. The Viz Dev artists are basically given the chance to like touch the final screen, which is really cool. Like their paintings basically go to like final stuff. It's kind of crazy.
That's so cool.
Question: does the animation industry see a possibility of returning to 2D or hand-drawn-esque looks versus staying with 3D animation? I'll give my perspective. 2D is unlikely. 3D that looks 2D is pretty likely.
I think there are a lot of artists in these big studios and in the industry that are pushing for like 2D stuff to be done. But at the end of the day, I think like with the big companies especially, it's always like the pushback from the executives and being like, if they okay it. And I think a lot of the times they don't, but it depends. Like maybe there'll be a studio that they okay it. And there is 2D implement. I think 2D is kind of getting a bit of it back into the 3D. Like now that Blender has stuff that can blend 2D and 3D pretty seamlessly. And there's like even Arcane had like 2D effects. And I think other studios like Spider-Verse also had like some 2D effects. So I feel like maybe not fully 2D, but definitely like 2D implemented into it. Even like Klaus, which was a full hand-drawn film, had like a bit of 3D mixed in. So I feel like now we're not separating the two. It's kind of like there's kind of overlap.
I remember my brother was telling me that he said he was so impressed that they made Klaus look 2D. Because he thought it was a 3D show.
Now that we have the technology improvements, they can do a lot of tricks to push what was done in the past too. Like I think like in the past it was cell shading that they did for the coloring, and now in Klaus, I don't know exactly the process, but I think they did like Photoshop layers, and you can see like the little like paintbrush textures on the coloring, and I think that gives that like 3D feel.
Yeah, I think they might have went a bit too 3D, but it still looked amazing. Because they did the opposite of like 3D animation trying to look 2D. They did like a 2D animation trying to look 3D. Okay, so I can start going through some reels and stuff. Who wants to start first?
Andres.
Wait, show mine first because Francesca's is better, so I don't mind. If we show hers first, then
That's not true.
it's gonna make me look bad.
So, if you have not seen Arcane Season 2, trust that there will be spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
I'm sure everyone here has seen Arcane Season 2, but we're going to look at shots from the show, so it's going to be spoiled. Okay, Andres, the industry journey is a pretty cool see.
Just so you guys know, this is stuff from like my student days all the way up to now.
Let's play it. I remember this, Stubby.
Oh yeah, my first feature project. Oh yeah, this is for his dark materials. Oh man, jumping into the effects was a challenge.
Yo, some of these shots are pretty dark.
Yeah.
I feel like you could get away with barely animating. The furry shot. That's an iconic shot.
The reaction online from that show is hilarious. It wasn't even my idea to do that. My friend did the reference for that, and she all just did that like slap, and I was like, okay, let's do that. And then the directors loved it. I think it's cool showing this because, like, you know, you look at the latest show and you think, oh my god, like how you get on something like that, but then you see the journey and it kind of makes sense. Like, you don't just start doing good shots right away. You do like a lot of bad shots before you get close to this stuff.
Yeah, you could see you going from 2D to 3D. It's pretty cool seeing the like transformation.
Yeah, you can literally see the struggle. Like, you can see like, whoa, none of these poses are working. Like, the mechanics aren't working.
You have to. Please, promise me. Okay. I promise. We lost ourselves. Lost our dream.
Yeah, I think what I'm most grateful for is like just like all the styles I got to try. You know, I think that's always fun when you get to try a new style.
I saw someone earlier ask what school we studied at. We studied at Sheridan College in Canada. Francesca, I don't know if you want to say where you studied at.
I did a video making course because I wanted to work in live action cinema, and during that in Turin, and then during those 2 years I tried 3D for the first time, but it wasn't very, like, I didn't learn much. It was a short course, and then I studied animation at iAnimate. I did 2 workshops a few years later because actually my first job in the industry was as a lighting artist
Oh, I
and
didn't know that.
3D generalist, only for a year and a half.
So you didn't go to like animation college?
No.
Okay,
Because
that's good.
in Italy there weren't many schools. Now we have a few online ones that are nice, but when I was studying animation in
See,
Italy, not
guys,
really.
you don't need to go to animation school to be an animator. That's what
Yeah,
I
I
try to
studied.
tell everyone.
It's true. I started by myself in my spare time, watching tutorials online, and then doing that landed my first animation job, layout and animation job, just by trying by myself. Those shots were so bad. I got super lucky to be hired in this small studio in Italy, but
Hey, you know, that's how we all started.
It's
I feel
fun.
like your shots with Alexi's workshop were like really good already. I think that was kind of where you found your groove, right?
Yes, because when I started in Italy, I wasn't like not even an intern. It was even, but I had a super nice animation supervisor and lead with Reviglio. That she taught me so much, and she had so much patience. So I learned a lot in production. And then I went and with Alexi, like my technique, he really, he's so great at that. He's a great teacher. So I learned there.
Yeah, you guys both took Alexi's iAnimate class, right?
Yes,
That's crazy.
yes. I took 2,
He does iAnimate classes just to find talented people to hire.
basically. Yeah, so
That's
many.
so funny.
Yeah.
It's a good process.
So everyone take Alexi's iAnimate class.
Yes, do it. Good thing because he hated me in the. No, he didn't hate me, but he didn't like my animation in the first workshop. He saw the improvement, I guess.
Was Fortiche hard to get into?
Well, we
I
were there
guess-
at the right time.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's luck.
Because
Yeah.
when Montpellier opened, Alexi called us.
Yeah, none of us,
So-
I don't think any of the team actually applied because no one really knew about the project because it wasn't released yet and they just opened the studio. So Alexi, I think, just reached out to either people he was working with or worked with or his old students. Like we just got an email from him and asking if we were interested. I think now it's more established, people actually apply. So I would say yes. I mean, all the big studios are difficult to get into. I think it's very competitive. So it's really like a combination of a strong portfolio and networking really well and maybe having some referrals if you can.
Fortiche might be harder to get into than like a studio like Disney now, just because of the smaller scale of it.
Yeah, there's definitely less positions for sure.
Because like Disney might have like 100 slots for animators, and Fortiche, I don't know how many animators it employs, but I assume it's not as big of a factory as Disney.
Yeah, it depends. Like a lot of people are location based, right? So like if people are in the West Coast industry, they're gonna mostly apply to the West Coast studios, and then people are in the Europe industry, then they apply to the European studios. You know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Fortiche, it looks so good because everyone there is European, and French animators are just built different. Even the best animators at DreamWorks are all like French guys who went to like Gobelin. Literally, like the animation department at DreamWorks is like basically French. It's basically a French department.
Alexi was Gobelin, Julien was Gobelin. Yeah, there's a lot of Gobelin people.
The director of
Was
Bad Guys,
Pierre?
I think
Pierre
he
was
also
Gobelin too, right?
and he was also an animator.
Exactly.
So
Actually, Daisy's asking that if Gobelin's a good school. I guess that kind of answers that.
I assume it is. You know, they all come out amazing.
We had Gobelin animators in Montpellier. We had Tommaso, Adele, and Lisa was Gobelin as well. Yeah.
I'm picturing
So
them
yes, I
coming
think
out
it's
like
cool.
the Urukai in Lord of the Rings. Like, they pull them out of the mud and they're like ready to animate.
They're ready to animate. That's not far from it, actually.
Yeah.
they were very good.
Point me to a Maya.
But you know, Gobelin has it's a 1 year or 2 year 3D program, actually. That's where that's the one that they did, right, Francesca?
They did the Gobelin and C. It's 1 year 3D, I think.
Yeah, so it wasn't the 2D program. But Alexi and Julian, like, I guess it was before the 3D program, they did the 2D program, I think.
This is Francesca's first job stuff.
Seriously, I already sabotage shows. People sometimes hear footsteps coming from nowhere, a mysterious melody,
Victor.
objects moving on their own.
It's like a Tom and Jerry type show.
Yeah, it's a bit slapstick kind of things.
So, ready to face the
This
merciless
was
Dr.
one of the
Gecko?
exercises I did in my spare
Right,
time.
you won't believe me, but I was just attacked by some crazy mongrel who ate all my cupcakes. So bummed. A mongrel? Yeah, right. Come on, Victor. You're gonna win a medal.
Yeah, the medal for the biggest loser.
And here are the contestants for skateboarding.
What are the odds?
The odds?
Relax, Tank. It's just a little indigestion. But
I've been
don't worry,
landing on the
next
rail.
time my cupcakes will be super awesome.
I'm
You
critiquing-
signed
I'm talking about the show story. Nice.
The story guy critiquing this.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at the animation.
This doesn't make sense.
Let's take a look at your eye animate shots. This is like body mechanic stuff, right?
Yeah, like a walk and turn with some emotion.
We'll start with this
I was
guy.
adorable once, young and
Yes.
full of hope. And now, look at me. I'm this short, fat, insecure, middle-aged thing.
Jennifer Lawrence chopped off her hair again. Everybody hates it like that, but she doesn't care. She's so bold. I wish I was bold. Am I bold? No, I'm not.
And now we can look at your showreel. This is Francesca's showreel from the show after we saw all her like previous stuff and what got her here. Whoa, it starts off pretty heavy. Can I show this on Twitch?
Of course.
It's fine. It passed the Netflix ratings approval, so we're good.
Oh, come on.
You're right.
Hey, Gar. Oh, do the Chem sisters have another show coming up? Milo here is a big fan. Like, huge.
Cool. Yeah. The old man's gonna let us play the party the night before that Innovators competition you all are gunning for.
Spoilers, by the way.
I think I'm just gonna sit here a minute. Catch my breath. See if I can talk an old friend out of blowing us up.
But don't ditch us. Why'd you come get me? Last time Vander needed us, we tried it alone, and...
Well, that was cool. That was a cool. I
clap
didn't
at
expect
the
that.
end.
That's pretty cool. That caught me off guard.
So how many people do the shots have to be approved by before it gets to the final approval?
Well, it's the hierarchy is there are the leads above the animators, so the leads have to approve. When the leads are okay with the shot, we go to the supervisor. Then we do a few of these back and forth. It's not always it's not straightforward. It's not only one time actually. We go back to the lead. When the supervisor is okay, we show the animation director. That was Bart. And then when Bart approves, we send to Christian, the director.
We show it to the directors 2 times only. We show them the blocking pass, which is basically all the poses put in and basically all the storytelling and details. And then the final animation pass, which is it's all smooth, everything's done on ones. And it's the final pass of animation that you see in the end. Okay, what was your most difficult shot to animate, Francesca?
In terms of crisis, I had
I know, but...
the big kiss, the long kiss, the one that I have in my showreel. That one was really hard. It's a lot. Of course, they are in contact, and whenever there are contacts, it's really difficult. And in this case, it was lips. So lips are also squishy. So getting the right, the weight, the squishiness, it's really hard. It was really difficult. It's also my favorite shot. But as Andres remembers, I had many crises during that.
But the funny thing is, it was so difficult, but when talking to everyone on the team for that sequence, it seemed to go super, super smoothly because everyone knew the standards needed to be high and everyone brought their A game. Everyone went in 110%.
Absolutely. That sequence was incredible. It was difficult, yes, but we also had a great time because we were all putting all of our effort into it and the leads were loving it. Supervisor Lexi loved it. It was really, in a way, that we had so many other sequences that had many problems, had the problems like intentions. That sequence, it was magical.
It went smoothly in terms of steps. It was just a lot of work.
It took so long, but
Nice. It paid off. A lot of people talk about that scene. I can't help but notice there's a Kate V folder here that you...
Yeah, it's just to give an example of what I tried to use. But it was mostly based on internal references.
I'm going to tell everyone now, they're not deleted scenes. This is behind the scenes process work.
Yeah, there's no deleted scenes.
Sorry to disappoint.
Is there even deleted scenes in animation?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I will say for Arcane, it's been a really good production in terms they pretty much don't cut anything. I think my whole experience on the show, I had maybe only 1 or 2 sequences that were not even cut, just reworked. So pretty much everything we animate pretty much goes to the final.
Yeah, that's what I assume. I know story.
But there's a lot of productions where I've seen productions where people work 6 months on it and they just scrap everything and redo it. So it was really nice that on this production they were super organized with the story and didn't cut too much.
It's good to figure stuff out in the story process. That's what it's there for.
Yeah, exactly. The only cuts were in the storyboard phase mostly. Yeah.
Which makes sense. That's the whole reason you get people drawing 2D pictures is to do it fast. Let's look at these references. This is the
The one from Gentleman
It's
Jack.
like
It was.
2 seconds.
It's when they divide. Yeah, because I use the lips when they how the lips behave when they like pop. Not to explain.
Oh, I see.
Oh, please go into more detail, Francesca.
What?
Oh, that's. Yeah, I guess it would be hard. I've never thought about having to make lips react like lips, but that does make sense.
Yes.
Okay, this goes
They
on
have
for a
their
while,
own weight.
huh?
Yes.
All right. All right. That's it. You guys get it. You guys don't need to see that.
It's two really difficult things. It's like you got like contacts, but like it's not even something solid. If you had like two bones contacting, like they're gonna keep their shape and not like morph. But like when you have lips contacting, it's like their shape changing and like certain parts are like yeah, it's very complex.
And then we have this.
That is just my blocking, spline, and final.
So this stuff is cool to see how you start off. There's no storyboards, right?
No.
What storyboards usually go here?
Yes.
Oh, all right, let's take a look at this.
Yes, Daisy, these are Francesca's scenes. The legend, now you know.
The like ASMR breathing noise is too much for me, but
You can mute it.
This is really cool to see though, especially to see how each stage like pluses the rest. Like from step to...
Why do I hear their moaning more than all of you?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Priorities.
The lighting here is really impressive as well. How they like cut off like half the lips. It must have been cool to see your animation in the final. That's cool. That's something I wish that I had more of a direct impact on like final frame, because you know like the stuff I worked on 4 years ago, like I don't feel it in the final. So question, what minor detail that you animated is your favorite?
If we stay in the Kate Weiss scene, is the nose when they kiss, the nose.
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh, hey, you know what? Let's go back.
Yeah, go back. Look at that nose, dude. She had the squish it. It's cartilage. It's not bone.
All right, we're testing to see if we can see the nose squish. Oh.
See, must be in the.
Oh, I did see the nose squish. Wait.
Nose squish.
That's an interesting. I've never once thought in my life about a nose squishing. So it's interesting that that's your like favorite. I mean, it makes sense. That's your favorite little detail. But
But that's like the gift of reference, right? Like if you look at reference, every time you see people kiss, like
the nose is really ugly.
Nose is squished.
It's true.
Yeah. Did you have any favorite characters to animate? How did you get yourself in their headspace in your acting choices?
I love this question because I love the emotional scenes. Obviously, that's like most of my reel is that because that's what I enjoy. But the tough thing is like this show like has such serious themes, and like not everyone goes through things that traumatic that these characters are going through. So you really have to like put yourself in an emotional space. So you try to kind of find things in your life that you can kind of have similar feelings. I remember when I was doing the waterfall scene in season 1 with Jason and Victor talking, basically Victor's asking Jace to let him die because the hex core is dangerous, they have to destroy it, but he's basically asking to let him go, and they're so close, their bond. So like me, I tried to think like, well, how can I get into that headspace of like that kind of emotion? And me, I imagined like if my brother, I have 2 brothers, so if one of them was asking me like to let them die, and so I imagined I was talking to them, having that conversation, and all of a sudden like there were little subtle things in my movements that showed pain, and like I had like this weird exhale where it felt like I was kind of sucker punched, and like that went into the animation. And so that kind of like thought process, whatever kind of shot you're doing, like especially with the emotional stuff, you have to kind of push yourself to get into a really dark headspace, unfortunately, but because you got to get like as much genuine acting as you can.
That was a good answer. Yeah, that must have been hard to animate. I know because you like take on the character, right? So you kind of feel what they feel a little bit, and it kind of. I have a friend at DreamWorks, and she got tasked with doing all the like emotional scenes on a movie, and then after a while, she's like, "Hey, I can't do this anymore. Like this is making me depressed. I go home depressed. I'm sad all the time. Can I get put on like a happy action scene or something? Like, can I get put on something more fun? Because I like can't emotionally take this anymore. Because she just has to feel all the feelings the characters are feeling. It's really interesting.
We felt it on Arcane. You remember, Andres, when we got the sequence in the alternative reality with Echo
yes.
and Powder? and they were smiling, and we were like, oh my gosh.
We were all so happy because most animated shows, like everything is happy most of the time, and there's like a few sad sequences, but Arcane was the reverse, where the characters are always constantly like sad and depressed. And so we get this alternate universe where everything is happy. It's kind of like an episode of Friends. That was kind of like the reference we were going into, like for the, especially the bar scene. So we got the sequence with them going into the bar, and all of a sudden the characters are happy. They're just friends having a good time. And we were all so happy to animate something where like, oh, the characters are smiling. What does that look like? How do you animate smiles? They're laughing. They're like, they're in love. They're like flirting. Like, yeah, we were so happy getting that sequence. I think it was a really fun sequence to do.
This is in reference to episode 7, right? The like alternate reality one.
Yeah.
That was my favorite episode in all of season 2.
That was apparently a Fortiche idea. Like Pascal, Jérôme, and Arnaud, they suggested doing an episode like that.
If I was Echo, I would have stayed. I would have stayed. It is what it is. I would have stayed. I would have been happy.
Oh no.
Hey, call me a coward.
I mean,
Jace got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, we know Jace wasn't gonna stay.
There was a question here that I actually want to know the answer to as well. Do you ever use the voice actors for facial movements / emotions? Do you ever reference the voice actors?
Sometimes I've used them. We didn't have all the scenes for some reason. When I had them, I used them mostly for lip sync, not really the facial expressions, because a few times it happened that the intent, the subtext we went for, it was different than what the actor was doing. So then we have to we reworked it, we thinked it, it was different. But the lip sync, yes, I found it very useful.
That makes
sense.
It
depends. We don't always have access to that stuff, but even when you do, it also depends on the actor. Some actors are very like emotive when they do the voice acting, and some are just kind of, they keep a straight face and just do it with their voice.
It depends.
As long as it hits the intention.
I was going to ask which actors felt like the most passionate when they were like recording, that you could use the most reference from.
I think Ella Burnell I used a few times. She was really, she's so good. Yeah,
I really
Jinx,
like Ella
yeah.
Purnell. I was so shocked after I watched Fallout. I'm like, wait, that's Jinx?
I haven't watched it yet.
And then I found out she's British.
She's fake. Yeah, it's a fake accent.
It's a fake accent. She's faking it, guys. It's all fake. It's all smoke and mirrors.
But I find a lot of British actors and actresses are fantastic at the American accent. Like, you can never tell. Yes, Katie Lung's accent also is fake because she has a super strong Scottish accent, and she did an English accent for Caitlin.
You can't trust anybody. But yeah, okay. Everyone wants to see your show reel, so we're gonna show your show reel. I love this scene.
Thanks. That was my last shot on the show.
Oh, that must have been emotional.
Yeah, it worked to my advantage because I was emotional doing the ref.
That's cute. In episode 7, right? Vi dies instead of the kids, and life is good.
Life goes on.
But like, pretty
I
good.
wasn't ready for that.
But life goes on
Embarrassing me on stream.
better, right?
I mean, yeah, that's what everyone on the internet is saying. It's like,
So if we really think about it, it's V's fault.
no, come on.
You don't have
It's
to say
not-
anything, but it just kind of seems without her, stuff just kind of thrived.
Yeah, but there's so many factors. Like, come on, it's not.
It seems like there was one major factor, though.
You can't put the blame on all the things that happen in the show on one person. Like, come on.
You know, I
Like
won't.
they changed that,
There's a
right?
lot,
Like,
there's
who
a
knows
lot.
how many other factors changed in that timeline, right?
It was that Vander and Silco worked together again.
Yeah, like they changed as well. You know, it's a lot of subtle things.
So it really was Hextech that kind of fucked up the whole.
Yeah, I mean, Heimerdinger was in the end was right. It was
True.
dangerous.
But it was cool, though. I know it was dangerous, but if you really think about it, it was cool. And isn't that more important than danger? Isn't it cool that you could teleport? That's pretty cool, right? I don't know. It was kind of worth it. Don't worry, I'm just joking around.
Yes, we all love.
We're just joking around. Don't worry, guys. I think it's funny how like nice that alternate reality was. So who did you put down in a pit for months on end for that episode 7 reference?
That was actually Las Palmas who did the Canary Islands studio that did that sequence. So you gotta ask them.
All right, we can start going through your shots. I kind of want to see these.
Just like when
So
Vander
this is just the
showed
play blast of the final animation that was approved.
Oh, I see. You just have. This was a
Except
really
this
cool-
time,
Ooh.
you aren't here to put it all back together.
Look at your eye acting. Andres is pretty
Yeah.
dope at eye acting. Look at this.
That was from
Except
Francesca's
this
reference.
time.
So
So good.
You aren't here to put it
that
all
was a
back
really tricky
together.
one because this is so she doesn't cry in this shot. She cries in the one later. So I did a version with our friend Sylvia, who's a storyboard artist. Actually, you met her, and she did it where she was basically on the verge of tears and much more intense. But we need to dial it back because she wasn't at that point yet in the sequence, right? So then Francesca did a take which was a little more subtle and she's a little bit reserved compared to Sylvia's version, and it was perfect. It fit like exactly the tone, so we used that.
This is the reference for that shot we just saw with Silco and.
So I had to play a
Jinx.
little bit with timing and stuff because Jinx was underwater, so it wasn't going to be exactly like the movement matching what Francesca's doing, but the acting and intention were there.
It's kind of crazy. You just have to act. You just have to straight up act.
I mean, yeah, Francesca, like, I don't know how she does it. Like, every character she can, like, she just turns on
Yeah,
a switch.
that's
and,
really
like,
good.
Boom.
I saw an interesting question earlier. Is there anything you prefer story artists to do that help you in your animation? Like, is there anything you see in boards that leads to like better shots or like helps inform the animation better?
You know, the boards for Arcane are not typical, like, was done in feature. It's actually very live action based. So I think the storyboard artist, what makes it really work really well, because the animation is more naturalistic, is they stage camera and make shot choices kind of more like how it would be in a live action film. And so things will really work in 3D space. If you see a character walking towards camera, the way the character grows in frame really works well. That's why the action scenes really work well, and the animators could really like stay close to the boards. And even like the posing, the way a character is like relationships between characters, the way the characters pose in frame. I know Sylvia, and I'm sure a lot of board artists on the show did it. Like they did live action reference even for the boards. If there's a low shot angle, they put the camera on the ground, record themselves like moving in that space, and then when they went to board, they could really get like that detail and naturalism in
Wow.
it.
I did not know that they like recorded references for boards. I've never done that. I've taken some photos to get like an angle right, but I've never recorded.
I'm sure it wasn't for every shot, but for certain shots, if it was a tough camera angle and perspective, they would do that.
Well, the boards look
Yeah.
amazing. Those boards, like I saw some of the boards that I think Josie put up.
Yeah,
Josephine?
Yeah.
Josephine, yeah.
She's super mega talented. She's crazy.
Gosh.
The drawings
I'm telling
there,
you.
I saw like so in the kissing scene that you animated, Francesca, I didn't realize this was in the boards where she kind of like blows her hair out of the way.
Mhm.
And then I'm like,
Actually, yeah.
I can't believe that's like a board detail. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. They
That's
go really
crazy.
into detail.
I don't think maybe I've done that specific acting before, but it's just like never, I don't know. It was such a good
Yeah.
choice, you know? The hair
Yeah,
flow.
like
yeah.
we all saw that in animation. We're like, oh my god, we all want to animate that shot. You know, it's such a nice acting choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so cool. to see a board
It's
artist
full of
get
these
that level of
details.
control. Also, because like a board artist doesn't get that level, typically doesn't get that level of control over the acting. All right, I'm gonna go through the rest of your clips because I'm
I mean,
curious.
we finally got the hybrids to feed off the Fisher gases, but
So yeah, this is just final animation. This is what it looks like when we get final approval.
What I notice is that it's still like painted. There's still like paint strokes kind of on the model
Yeah.
itself.
So that's why like it's really nice to animate because you kind of see what the characters look like in the final while you're animating.
the convert.
Like that's some TV shows' final shots. You know what I mean? Like this is like a final in some TV show.
Yeah, that's it. Like when you have talented artists who can just paint really nice textures onto the models, like
Mhm.
why do fancy renders, right? Also,
It's
Fortiche
true.
doesn't have the render power that big studios have, right? So they play to their advantages. They're like, we have talented painters, let's put them to use.
All right, let's look at more of these shots.
Oh, they're nowhere near robust enough to purify all the air down here.
Unless you
this
plan a
shot
million of
took a
them.
long
No
time
way we're
'cause it's
doing
so
that.
many- It's the most
We've
characters I
tried.
ever did in one shot.
Cultivating
Yeah.
the soil, infusing the water.
So this is the
Sorry.
full reference.
Yep, this is the full reference. This was such a big sequence. We had our whole Montpellier team working on this, so you get to see basically the whole team in here. Normally, it's one team for the whole sequence.
Buckle in, guys. It's a live action Arcane.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, Space Boy. I'm not talking to myself over here. What is up with you? You've been out of it all day.
Feel like I woke up in the wrong universe.
This is what happens when you stay up all night. Those synapses start firing around like drunk slugs. There's still plenty of time before the competition. Okay, we'll work out the kinks. I've got you.
Hey,
Aw, if it isn't Zahn's royalty. My liege.
Sit down.
hey, little man. Trouble in paradise?
Just the usual project woes.
Tell me about it. I mean, we finally got the hybrids to feed off the Fisher gases, but the conversion rate's way too low. They hardly grow. They're nowhere near robust enough to purify all the air down here.
Unless you plan a million of them.
No way we're doing that.
And we've tried cultivating the soil, infusing the water. No luck.
I'll be right back.
No. Go. Save him from himself. Where would you be without her?
Hey, Gert. No. Oh, come on.
Hey, Gart. Oh, do the Chem Sisters have another show coming up? Milo here is a big fan. Like, huge.
Cool. Yeah. The old man's gonna let us play the party the night before that Innovators competition you all are gunning for.
What would they do without you?
There'd probably be some arm flailing.
You know, one thing I learned as a bartender, as good as it feels to pour everyone's drink, you need to fill your own cup every now and again.
Let me guess. You think I'm holding myself back?
I think you're too smart to spend your life in a bar.
Hey, Professor.
Oh,
Professor?
am I late to a gathering of the minds? Oh.
Yo, that was really cool. That seemed really hard to do. Is it hard to like, not only do you have to match the storyboards, you have to act, but you also have to like match the timing of the lip sync?
Yeah.
It seems really hard. It didn't click to my brain until I saw that all played together. That seems really hard to do.
And you have to also realize like most of the team was not first language English, so it's like another level of difficulty too on top of that. So yeah, it's really the team gets a lot of credit for sure.
Yeah, that was.
That's why I was using the actors for lip sync, because my lip sync was sometimes it was like blah blah.
Yeah, but you
that's
have to,
wrong.
like, time the acting to like the lip sync. It's kind of crazy. So many moving parts for the reference, and you guys basically have to like. Is it a lot of pressure to like get the right acting down during reference?
Yes, because we really needed to approve them. Alexi really wants to approve the ref because it's then easier for us that we know the intent is correct, the subtext is nice, that everyone is on board. So it actually saves us time after. There are not many redos. Sometimes it happens, but it's really important to establish what we are doing in reference.
Yeah, Alexi was very strict on that. Like I'd spend sometimes like 2 or 3 days just doing reference, trying to get it approved. And I kind of made a rule after a while where if I didn't get it approved after 2 tries, I would just ask somebody else who I knew was good with a certain character. Like that's why I would ask Francesca a lot. I'd be, oh, can you help me with this character getting this ref approved? We had like also Luca, who was a lead, who was a really good actor as well. Like he did the ref for the last shot I did with Victor and Jason in the space, area.
Is the acting fun?
Sometimes.
That's the best answer, I think.
Sometimes.
Sometimes you like get a shot and you like really connect with it and like the ref just comes easy, and then sometimes it's just you can't get the intention.
Yeah, when the characters are moving a lot and acting on top, it's exhausting because you need to get all the beats. And it's hard when it's just dialogues. Pretty easy. But me, I have a lot of fun doing it, especially when there's someone else with me, like Andres.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
Yes, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, with someone else you can kind of bounce off each other, and sometimes you just goof around in the ref room. Like
yes.
For fight scenes, do you guys ever like hire people who know how to fight, or do you just have to do it all yourself? This fight scene where you have to like duck under a punch, do you have to just record that and hope it plays well?
We never had stunts. For me and Andres, we didn't do many fight scenes, but from what I can see from other animators, they film whatever they can in the ref room, and then you can always use movie references. We had a special channel in the studio chat, like ref help, so people will write, I have this shot where this is happening, do you have a movie ref? And people are like,
cool.
Yeah, that's some really stunts are like you can't really do, so you have to find movie refs. I know Luca, he did the sequence at the end in the last episode where Jace is on the rooftop after Victor and him are flying up and they go to the top of the hex tower. Jace like kind of flies into the air and lands on the ground like that. He took ref from I think from YouTube.
I see.
But also the board. This is where the boards come in because a lot of the fights are like very stylized, so they're not really. It's probably the one part of the show that kind of goes beyond reality, and so a lot of it is in the boards. They will like have so many details in the boards. You can really use that as the key, and then the reference on top of that, kind of blending the two together, gives you the shot.
Someone asked, was Caitlin hard to animate? I feel like her face card is very particular. Yeah, was it harder to animate certain characters because they had to like feel a certain way? Like Jinx maybe has to have a certain like kind of look about her. Does that change the way you guys animate certain characters?
I did a lot of Caitlin, yes.
Yeah, you did a lot of Caitlin.
I don't remember Caitlin as particularly difficult. Once you get the feeling of, it's always the mouth. When you get the feeling of how the mouth is, then I don't remember having much difficulty with her.
Is there any characters you guys did find difficult?
Maybe Jinx has, but
Jinx?
Other than that,
is that because Jinx is like so iconic?
She has a lot of subtleties and a lot of different variation. It can be tricky. I think a classic one, Jace, can be difficult too, just because like in terms of his model, his mouth shape and his face doesn't really work in 3D rotation. When you have a shot of him from profile, like his mouth looks too small, so you have to kind of cheat it and make it a bit bigger, and then from the front his mouth looks too big, so you have to kind of shrink it. So it's a little bit of a that can be a little bit tricky as an animator when you're trying to do something more naturalistic.
All right, let's see the rest of these references, because wait, what was that one? Oh, is that before he lays down?
Oh
yeah, he exhales. Yeah, I know, out of context the ref looks really dumb.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is this?
But that's literally the shot. It's just him from the side exhaling, and then it goes into the next shot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Caitlin was there.
Oh, that's funny.
Cuddles.
Yeah.
Caitlin was there.
Aw, so cute. And then it cuts to...
You might be
then it cuts to Alexi.
Alexi.
Of course, he
so
approved his own ref. He approved his own ref, right?
You might pay her a visit.
To your
Yeah, so this ref was useful because like people were commenting a lot on the eye dart when his eyes were closed, and that was literally just in the ref. I saw that in the ref and I was
Oh.
okay. I just put a sticky. There wasn't a control for it on the rig, so I just put a sticky on the eyelids and then just animated that move and boom.
Oh. That is really
So when you look at
cool.
like the animation, that's all it is. I just put a control on there and oh, there. Yeah. No, there was that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, I see. That's cool. Wait, I'm seeing here that there is reference that says choking Jace Andres.
Choking Jay Andres.
So there is a choking.
That is exactly what it is. Yes.
That's very awesome.
Yeah. Notice how Francesca laughs when you talk about that.
We did this so many times.
Yes.
The hand comes up.
Some animators were hurt in the creation of this.
I want that screen cap.
That's real pain right there.
Yeah,
She was laughing the whole time we were doing that
That's
rep.
so funny.
I was like, Francesca, what the
Bro, I
It's
would have
video.
laughed.
we had to go back and forth on how aggressive she could be, you know, because at first I was like, okay, you can go a bit more than that. Then she goes like all out, and I'm like, oh.
You're like, dude, your face.
It's like, you know what's the best mentality for doing this was? It was, you know, in the Avengers when they're like, whatever it takes.
Whatever gets the shot.
That's it. That's what we do when we go into a show. We're like, whatever it takes.
After all the talk of Jace being choked, I'm glad we got to see it happen.
There you go. There's the choking.
Yeah. Just know, artists had to endure pain for you guys to get your premium choking content. All right, let's see this minute of reference.
Junior Officer Nolan. Maddie. And, it's written on your face.
So what is it? Random search? Escort off the property? Are you just here to waste my time?
Search? No. No. You're something of a legend amongst the enforcers. Caitlin made quite a scene at the station when they tried to deny your enlistment. I have to ask, is it all true? You went after Silco alone when the council wouldn't back you. Took on his whole gang.
Kate said all that?
After the sheriff betrayed us. Well, let's just say, it's nice to know there's still good ones left.
Oh, that was really cool.
Someone has a question now.
I asked this earlier, but still curious. Did you guys ever decide on certain mannerisms for specific characters? Nervous habits specific to them, or even how much they might smile compared to other characters? Could you talk about those?
I mean, this is perfect for Francesca because she literally did that for Maddie's character. Like, this her character, it was the first time on screen, so.
Yeah, for Maddie, when we were doing the references, we talked about her being like kind of shy, but bubbly, like she has a lot of little bounces. That was something we discussed, and that's why they wanted me to do the rest, because I move like that. So in that, yes. Then I'm not sure, like, she doesn't have much screen time after. It's more she has scenes in relations with other characters, but for other characters, as we joined when they already, like, on episode 7 of season 1, and so all the characters were already like fully developed, I would say. Of course, they all move in different ways, but myself, I never thought about it much. Did you, Andres? Like, they all move differently, and you know it. We always look at the other shots. We discussed a lot before.
I think majority of the decisions are done in the planning. I think in animation in general, you gotta do it like that. I think when we go into the ref room, we don't think of a specific mannerism or anything. We don't go too much into detail. We focus more on the intent that we talked about, like what is the character feeling? What is the character thinking at this time? We do the ref, and then what comes from that, we start to go into detail and like the mannerisms. I'd say even in Maya, we'll start to kind of pick which mannerisms we want to push, take away.
In season 1, especially because the show hadn't come out yet, did you have to like just watch how other people animated Jace or Jinx, and then just like try to reference those a lot?
Oh, definitely. Like the 3 studio locations will constantly like be looking at the other sequences. We had full access, so actually we did that with a lot of the Adam's apple animation. Before we weren't doing that too much, and then Paris did the sequence with what's his name, the guy with the golden jaw. It was him in the bar talking to Savika and Flynn. Yeah, so we saw the animation for him, and he had all this like neck animation, the muscles tensing, the Adam's apple going up and down, and it was like adding such a nice level of detail. And then Alexi just told us, he's like, guys, everybody start animating those Adam's apples, start animating those neck muscles. Like I want our animations to look like that.
He's like, he
Yeah.
saw better. He's like, we could go better.
Yeah, and it's constantly like that. Like we've done stuff where other studios have asked, like when I did the eye dart thing, someone from Las Palmas asked me how I did that, and then I explained it, and then she did it for some of her shots.
That's cool.
So it's constantly us inspiring each other and pushing the quality.
Oh, that's awesome. How was it like animating Jace before and after breaking his leg?
That was also Las Palmas who did a lot of that. But the limp stuff, someone asked about the Victor stuff too. So we actually had a crutch in the reference room. Actually, you can see it in Francesca's ref right now.
And also,
so we used that and faked it. So we'd have one person walk on one leg with that. And we didn't have someone who actually used crutches at the studio, unfortunately, but we tried to do the best we can and then push it in animation.
I remember watching a tutorial on how to use a crutch.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because I think at the beginning we got the size where if you injured one leg, you have to use it on one size. I remember that discussion. Like
pretty much like in general with anything in animation, if there's something specific, you definitely have to do your research because otherwise it comes off as fake and not genuine. But I remember like those crutch shots or any kind of limping shots are like extremely difficult because the mechanics are very, very specific. And if you do it wrong, it's going to look fake.
We got some questions. Anything you guys are working on currently that you can talk about?
For me, yeah, I'm currently working actually on an animation tutorial video that I'm going to be uploading to my friend's online school, Animation Den. And I will be basically going through like this process that I did on Arcane. Like it's going to be a 20-second sequence I made and just going like from recording the whole thing and explaining from start to finish how I animate. So I'm currently working on that. And also I've been working on a short film for the last year, so which is also really cool. So yeah, just those are like the two side projects I've been doing lately.
Francesca, I assume you can't talk about it, but maybe you can?
The movie I worked on last year is not announced yet. Then I worked in did some commercials that are not out. That's it.
Unfortunately, NDAs make it very hard for us to talk about anything.
And Francesca will probably work on the short film that we're doing as well.
Whoa, yes.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. Andres, how did it feel animating Jason Victor in the astral plane?
That was my last shot on Arcane, so it was my last shot at Fortiche, so it was a really like emotional. It was funny actually. I was kind of like, we were ramping off the show. Things were kind of, the last few shots were being sent out, so I was kind of, there was a bit of a slowdown by the end, and I was like going through the emotions of finishing my contract at Fortiche after all those years. And then Alexi calls me to his office and he's like, hey, we got one last shot for you. And I thought it would be a small shot because all the big stuff was already taken. But then he shows me this big shot and I'm like, oh, damn, I'm ending with a bang, I guess. So I was like nervous because it's like probably the longest shot I ever did. But also I was happy because it's a very, very cool and emotional shot. And yeah, I think going into that shot, it was really tough doing the reference. I had to ask Luca to help doing the reference for Victor. And he did an amazing job. And I tried to match the level of animation to what he did. And I think that moment with Victor kind of coming to terms of what he actually did and the damage he's done and dealing with the guilt, it's really strong moment. It was a really emotional moment for me finishing the show with that, and also really fun and exciting and getting to have the opportunity to do a special moment like that.
Which characters were your favorites to work on / animate?
I think for season 2, I had a lot of fun with Echo actually, because Echo doesn't have too much. And season 2 he had more, but he generally doesn't have too much screen time on the show. And I just really love getting a chance to work with him and having some cool shots, especially that moment where he's convincing Jinx not to end her life and tell her to come back. Because again, another emotional scene, and I think like the voice acting done for that was really, Reed Shannon did a great job. So I guess Echo for this season for me.
What about you, Francesca?
Me, I was super happy whenever I got Sevika. I didn't get her a lot though. Yeah, I just love her design, like her character, her whole personality. I love her so much. But of the ones I animated the most, Vi is just nice to animate. I love her eyes. But yes.
For the Kate V scene, did you use movie references? This was answered earlier. There was movie references, but there was in-house references that Francesca could not share because of the intimate nature of it.
It was mostly in-house references, like all the shots were referenced, not by me, because...
I assume it was a couple, right?
Yeah. It was my lead, Lorenzo, and the girlfriend, Silvia. But Silvia was the lead storyboard on the sequence and the episode, so what a power couple. So yes. So I spent 3 months looking at my lead and his girlfriend and smooching.
That's funny.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that ref it's probably the only ref that probably won't be shown online just because of the intimacy, and especially for some of the shots, it's a bit too revealing, I think. Even in the studio, they kept it in a secret folder and the reviews were done privately. So, but every now and then you'd walk by one of their computers and you'd see something on the screen and be like, whoa.
Hey.
How often do you guys get to work in a project that ends up being scratched? I assume that means like taken off.
Yeah, like it's scrapped.
As a story artist, often, because you work so early in production that it doesn't work. It gets so like probably like, I don't want to say half, but like maybe a third of the stuff I work on ends up being scrapped.
I think I've been lucky. I don't think I ever worked on a project that was scrapped. I think the only thing was I've had shots maybe omitted from the final cut, but very rarely. I've been pretty lucky in that sense.
Never happened to be.
I think for animating, it's a lot more rare because if they're animating, they've gone through so many processes to get there that odds are it's not going to be scrapped.
I'd say like it's rare for the film to be scrapped once it's an animation, but it's not rare for shots to be scrapped.
Yeah, that makes sense. Did learning 2D animation before 3D help you?
I'd say on Arcane, you're not really doing 2D passes as much, but I'd say it always applies. The principles never change. The rules and principles, the design, playing to camera, it's always the same. It'll always matter. So it's always a plus. And on more cartoony productions, you can do like 2D passes. Like I've done some 2D drawovers frame by frame to help with that.
Would an animator lose their job for not wanting to animate an intimate scene? Did they randomly assign those? Like if someone was not comfortable, maybe not fired, but would they be seen like, guy's not a team player or whatever? Or is
No.
it... No.
No. Well, actually, we had an animator who wasn't comfortable with the sexual scenes actually on the team, and they just, it was fine. Actually, most people wanted those scenes, so.
Because I've never worked on like a adult kind of production before, so I've never experienced having to work with stuff that you're like uncomfortable doing. So that's interesting.
In general, also, we could always ask the parts of the sequence we wanted, and it wasn't sure that we will get them, but you always can have a discussion, a dialogue with the lead, the supervisor, if there is some shots that you really don't want for whatever reasons.
With the state of the industry at the moment, has working on a show like this helped you to stay employed? Do you think like your experience or like having Arcane on your resume helped a lot?
Yes, of course. Projects like this open doors a lot, but it's not the only factor, of course. You have to understand with those competitive jobs, a lot of people have very impressive projects. But yeah, it does help a lot. Like I've had a lot of companies talk to me and say they're fans of the show, and it kind of validates you a bit more. You have to keep in mind that networking is also super important. Sometimes visas can be an issue. I've had companies reject me because they didn't have the budget for visas. So there's a lot of factors. But I'd say to answer your question, yes, it's definitely helped when the show is this well regarded in the industry.
Francesca?
It has helped because when I went to work at Logic, I got recommended by some people that worked with me at Fortiche. So it's more connection in this case. So I didn't experiment yet. I got contacted. Hey, would you be interested? A few of them, yes. But for now, I don't think it made any difference. For now, I don't know.
I know for like gaming studios, like they really like people, especially for senior with a lot of gaming experience. So me, I've had like a lot of rejections from gaming studios, even though they like Arcane. Sometimes you just need someone with specific experience, right? Even if you work on a big project, it doesn't guarantee you any job.
At the end of the day, the reel in your portfolio is key. No matter what show you've worked, like you could have worked at Disney on the classics for years, but if your work isn't up to par, like I've seen like really experienced people not get the job because it wasn't the right fit. So at the end of the day, like your resume only takes you so far. The reels, I'm sure the work that they produced from Arcane is what gets them their next role, not necessarily Arcane itself.
Yeah, because if you work on a big production, but you don't necessarily have too many shots on your reel from it, and with more shots, longer shots, more difficult shots.
Could you share some inside jokes or headcanons the team had amongst yourselves about the characters of Arcane?
When we saw Jace for the first time with his beard and long hair, he got baptized as Sexy Jace, and that never changed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we always called him Sexy Jace because everyone loved the beard design.
That's funny.
Yeah.
He did get sexier. I will say that.
He did.
The beard really suited him.
I think everyone loves, it seems like the public had the same reaction. Yeah, we were definitely joking about that. You know, it was funny. I was constantly asking Alexia, I'm like, come on, give me some Jace shots. I want to animate some shots with Jace with the beard. And then I actually didn't even get that many. I only got those shots at like the very end, like a couple. And I was like, what?
The big memes, the storyboard team has the big memes. Sorry,
oh, really?
I just remember that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They would have a chat and send little doodles of like their own custom made memes during
so
I want to see those. I want to see
we
those.
have to contact some.
In Parks and Recreation, where they have Aubrey Plaza and she has like the two boyfriends. And
Oh,
she's like,
yes.
this is my boyfriend and this is my boyfriend's boyfriend. And then in the story team, they actually did that meme first, where they're like, it's Mel, and she's like, this is my boyfriend and this is my boyfriend's boyfriend. You know?
That's Victor.
They did that meme in the story
That's
team, and then
funny.
we saw it online afterwards. It's just funny when people do those crossovers, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you, Andres and Francesca, for joining me and talking about it and giving me all these references and animation stuff. It was super cool to show.
Thanks for having us, Daniel. And always a pleasure having fun with you on these. And thanks to everyone watching. It's amazing seeing so many people join the discussion and ask such great questions. All your reactions online, like we love seeing them as the team. It makes us really happy after all the work going into it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.